and I favor just assault weapon ban, not getting these guns in the hands of people that shouldn't have them. But could you look at the numbers on the ages?
Yes.
Because from 18, even going from 18 to 21, which wouldn't have prevented the shooter in Annunciation Church from purchasing that gun. He purchased several the same day. Over 100 rounds were fired from the assault weapon through the stained glass windows. So if you went up to 25, it would have stopped that immediate purchase and probably saved the lives of these kids. But if you go to 21, that is the same age that already applies to purchasing handguns from federally licensed dealers. So I prefer another approach, but I was hoping that our Republican colleagues would at least look at that, given Uvalde, Buffalo, and some of these other mass shootings, trying to be practical, but thinking that it could make a major difference. Strengthening background checks, could you also look at that? And then banning ghost guns and bump stocks. What do you think of that?
So, Senator, you're talking to my heart here on one of the core missions at the FBI, which is our CJIS facility in Winchester, Virginia, which is our hub for our NICS checks, our NCICs, our capabilities on when we have, I think it's 19,000 state and local community law enforcement come to us for these background checks. We're trying to make that processing as fast as we can so we can get them real-time information. I think we have a 93% clearance rate in 15 minutes as it relates to ghost guns, but we can do better.
All right, well, just if you could get back to me on all those and talk to the White House. Threats against elected officials have increased exponentially. Members of Congress received more than 9,000 threats last year, up from 1,600 in 2016. There's been a lot of talk about the rhetoric and the like. And if we want to move forward on things like Section 230, or even look if we can do anything on guns, I do think we're going to have to be honest about this all-purpose hater issue, and it has bothered me, this thing, we're going to go after this group, we're going to have to go after this group. I just want to, for the record, show that the murderer of Speaker Hortman and her husband, it was Democratic lawmakers on his list. He went to the ones whose addresses he had, by the way. Planned Parenthood was on the list, as were businesses and law firms. Doctors. I already mentioned the ones with the Catholic Church shooting. So it is not just as the radicals on the left, what's a quote from the president, are the problems or destructive movement of left-wing extremism that Vice President Vance said. According to the Anti-Defamation League last year, all the murders were committed. And I'm not actually going to say this because I don't even want to go left-right with this, but you can imagine it wasn't from the left. Cato Institute, conservative think tank, published a study just last week that found terrorists from the right were responsible for 6 times more deaths than people from the left. I actually don't want to go tit for tat on this, but what I am asking for is that this rhetoric of blaming one side or the other stop. If you could convey that to the president, and that we actually work on things that are solutions. So could you commit to me, Mr. Patel, Director Patel, that you will do that?
Absolutely, Senator.
Okay, thank you. Last, you were asked about social media, and I will put some more questions on the record about that. I think we could make major movement on that. The local FBI helped when the city of St. Paul was a victim of a cyber attack, and I'm concerned about some of the cyber attack cuts. I'll ask you that on the record. AI, I'm glad you raised that. I think we have to do more, but also including election interference, because they're using AI videos. I just had one happen in this very committee on me, and I just think they're going to start using it in democracy, election. They could be foreign. Do you think some of this is foreign entities, Mr. Patel?
Generally speaking, we have traced a lot of this to loose groups overseas that don't have any sort of central cluster.
The discussion centered on assault weapons, background checks, ghost guns, bump stocks, and age restrictions for firearm purchases, examining how law enforcement capabilities intersect with public safety legislation. Senator Klobuchar asked Patel whether an assault weapons ban could reduce gun deaths. Patel responded cautiously, emphasizing his support for exploring solutions to prevent tragedies while acknowledging he didn't have all the answers and would need to work with Congress on practical measures. This exchange highlights a crucial point. Law enforcement can enforce existing laws, but legislative changes require congressional action. The FBI's role involves implementing current laws and assisting in prevention, while broader policy decisions about banning certain weapons demand collaborative effort between lawmakers and enforcement agencies. Klobuchar raised specific proposals, including raising the purchase age for assault weapons and strengthening background checks, particularly after incidents where shooters under 21 legally acquired firearms. She noted that in some cases, increasing the age requirement could have directly prevented mass shootings, even if it wouldn't eliminate violence entirely. Patel explained the FBI's current capabilities, including their background check processing hub in Winchester, Virginia, which works with thousands of state and local agencies. He highlighted that while the system operates efficiently, improvements are needed, especially regarding ghost guns, which are untraceable and increasingly used in crimes. The hearing also addressed the alarming rise in threats against elected officials. Klobuchar noted that members of Congress received over 9,000 threats last year, compared to just 1,600 in 2016. Patel acknowledged the seriousness of these threats and stressed the FBI's commitment to responding quickly and effectively. Cybersecurity and election interference were another major focus. Klobuchar raised concerns about the FBI's resources and whether AI and foreign actors could disrupt elections or spread misinformation. Patel noted that much overseas activity lacks centralized coordination, but remains a growing threat to democracy. He also clarified that journalists are generally not investigated unless there's evidence of criminal activity, such as leaks of classified information, reinforcing the FBI's boundaries regarding press freedom. The hearing illustrates the complexity of preventing mass violence. It requires more than just passing new laws. It demands understanding enforcement capabilities, resources, technology, and human behavior's unpredictable nature. Effective